This is the Global Economic Commodities Scrap Metal and Recycling Report by our BENLEE roll-off trailer and lugger truck, August 3rd, 2020. U.S. weekly steel production rose to 1.32 million tons as the U.S. economy slowly reopens. Oil price fell to $40.27 a barrel as the U.S. and global production remains being held back to get prices up. The U.S. oil rig count fell to 180, near a decade low, as production is down due to low prices and the U.S. deal with OPEC to cut production. U.S. weekly oil production was steady at 11.1 million barrels a day, near the multi-year low, as low demand brings production cuts. Scrap steel number one heavy melt export buying price Philly rose to $200 a gross ton on increased demand as the global economy is getting better. Also, a low U.S. dollar makes U.S. exports to other countries more attractive. Scrap steel number one heavy melt was steady at $193.33 a gross ton. The weak U.S. dollar is boosting scrap exports, which could soften the slight downward price pressure for this month. Hot rolled coil steel rose to $22.53 per hundredweight as the U.S. economy slowly reopens. Copper fell to $2.86 per pound, near the 15-month high, on a slow global growth in demand. Aluminum rose to 75.7 cents, a multi-month high on the same global growth in demand. Gold price rose to $19.74 an ounce after hitting a record $19.83 on a weak U.S. dollar and by global concerns over the increasing COVID cases and deaths. China's manufacturing index rose for July to 51.1, with over 50 equaling expansion. Output grew the most in 4 months, and new orders were up for the 5th month in a row. The U.S. Federal Reserve announced they were keeping interest rates steady at 0 to 0.25 as the Fed said COVID remains a major concern and that they are now seeing new signs of slowing after what had been recent growth. U.S. consumer sentiment for July fell to 72.5 on a continued resurgence of COVID. Consumers do not expect a fast recovery. U.S. GDP, gross domestic product, which is the economy itself, shrank 32.9% in the second quarter ending June. That's the biggest contraction ever, as consumer and businesses were spending less and less. U.S. orders for manufactured durable goods for June rose 7.3% versus last month, with transportation equipment, mostly vehicles, jumping 20%. Non-defense orders, excluding aircraft, which is a closely watched proxy for business spending plans, jumped 3.3%. U.S. weekly initial unemployment claims rose to 1.43 million, the second weekly increase, as there has been an increase in state closings. There have been 54.1 million claims since March 21st. Note the flat line at the bottom of the graph. For years, claims were 200,000 plus per week. U.S. pending home sales for June rose 6.3% versus last June. This was the first gain in 4 months as record low interest rates and pent-up demand support the market. Overall, very, very good news. Wall Street's Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 202 points to 26,470. The U.S. government is ready to spend another $1 trillion or more to support the economy, bringing the total to $4+ trillion. As a reference, the government spent about $800 billion in 2009 to beat the recession. As always, feel free to call or email me with any questions. We hope all have a very safe and profitable week.